And we are live. It is Wednesday, and you know what that means? It's the closing show live today. And it's Wednesday, it's that equals the closing show live day. So thanks everyone for joining us today. If you got the ping, don't know what this is, don't worry. The closing show live is a weekly show featuring the people of Proposify, sales stars in the trenches, and revenue leaders. The closing show live is hosted by me, Nadia Milani, VP of Marketing at Proposify. Each week, we discuss the challenges we're facing and the no BS lessons we've learned so you can crush your close rates. So today is pretty awesome. There's a bunch of stuff going on. First of all, we have Evan Patterson in the house today, which is fantastic. If you haven't seen Evan Patterson before, then today's your chance, and he's great. And I'm sure a lot of you are here today because of Evan. But we're also giving away 3 closing show live hoodies. So these are hot off the press. We've just ordered a bunch of them. If you want to win one, all you have to do, it's so easy. All you have to do is comment or ask a question in the comments field. Okay. So if you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook or if you're on LinkedIn, ask a question, you're entered to win, and you're going to know right after today's live, which is awesome. So let's get to it. Most of your buyers are on social media. Are you on social media? So I know this is kind of a sometimes a heated discussion I've had with peers, but today we're going to get right to it with Evan Patterson. He's going to share his social secrets so you can book more meetings, even in a downturn. So we're going to chat likers versus lurkers, cringy LinkedIn posts. We're going to talk about what is a cringy LinkedIn post, and we may get to fake commutes, which I just learned about, and I'm going to be trying it. So without further ado, here is Evan Patterson. Welcome to the
Hi.
Closing Show Live.
Thank you so much. And that's quite the intro. Now I'm gonna meet this really high bar. Here we go.
I love good intros. Gets everybody pumped up. Well, welcome to the show, Evan. I'm so excited to talk about all about this. And you're really like the pro at this because I've been following you for quite some time, and you are just amazing at social selling. Period.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good at it. I only average, 80 to 90 meetings a month when I do it full time. So
And we've got like this is amazing. Like we have first of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us today. And we've got lots of comments already. So look, Alex is saying, looking forward to hearing all that you have to say. Evan,
Hi,
fantastic.
Stephanie. She's a good friend of mine. Love her.
Amazing. Hey, Stephanie. Mitch says hi. We've got a lot of action happening. And remember, drop your questions, comments. You are entered to win the first ever closing show live swag. So if you're a swag person, this is the day. You get the first ever. So this is
I
awesome.
mean, I do work at a swag company, and I think, Proposify could talk to me about making
They're
those hoodies next time.
always business deals. I love it. I love it.
Here I am pitching live on the air.
You know what? No shame in the game. No shame in that game. So I want to get right to it because you know what happens every single week. I talk too much, and then by the end, I feel like the 30 minutes always flies. And the last like 5 minutes is
Make
like
the show an hour. That's what we do at Other Side of Sales.
it just might. I just might never get to it. But I want to start. I want to start off with like just like so sales are salespeople truly missing out if they aren't on social? I want to get your perspective on this because like I know I know salespeople who are like, you know what, it's so critical. And then there's salespeople I know that are like, I don't do social. I do my thing. I hit my targets. Everything is great. So what's your POV? I want to know your perspective on it.
I think social, when done correctly, can be something that you can do in addition to or in lieu of traditional sales methods. Um, a lot of it can work on its own, and I don't mean through automation, but it's the amount of touches it takes a strong social seller to book a meeting is typically less than the amount of touches a traditional seller needs to make to book a meeting. Because it's all about being highly personalized while also relevant and timely. Social sellers are, well, good social sellers are good at all three. To be a good traditional salesperson, you really only need to be good at maybe two of the three.
Mm,
So that is one thing that I love about it because like I can book a meeting in under 5 minutes from discovering this person exists to getting the meeting on the calendar. So I don't have to like chase them. I don't have to have a ton of touches. So I think there's a lot of missed opportunity there. I think that people love to act like B2B is incredibly different than B2C. B2B is a little more complicated just because of all the different moving parts and everything is a buying committee. But at the end of the day, that's the only difference. It's
Yeah.
still people. We're still buying things for the same emotional reasons that I bought this shirt, right? Or the fact that, like, the way you bought your glasses, the house, the apartment, whatever. We're still buying for the same reasons. We're literally to solve an emotional need, whether that's to impress our boss, keep our paycheck, or beat a quota. It's still an emotional need. So social allows you to tap into that.
I love it. We have a question from Stephanie who's asking, actually, no, sorry, it's Charnel. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but what are your main social channels? And that's actually one of the questions I have. Like, how do you pick your poisons? Because it's for example,
Yeah.
I post maybe once a week, and that's hard for me. Like for me, it's hard to post at least once a week. I have the random idea,
Yeah.
for to my Trello, and I still find it hard. So I just, how do you pick which social channel to start off with if you are starting?
Yeah, so we'll talk about the posting real quick for a second here. You got
Yeah.
to keep in mind, posting is a part of personal branding,
Mm.
which is not synonymous with social selling. However, it can fuel social selling, so please don't knock it. They are important to each other. The second bit is making sure that everything that I'm talking about, or any social seller, coach, or consultant is talking about, take the social media platform they're referring to and swap it for the one that your ICP lives on. And if you're really good at this, swap it also for the one or the ones that the people adjacent to your ICP live on. Because strong social sellers, they take what their boss says is a qualified meeting and they chuck it out the window. A strong social seller understands the power of booking meetings with champion adjacent or ICP adjacent individuals, because that's where you that's how you get those 80, 90 month meetings calendar look likes. That's how you get there, is by having those, you swarm that type of ICP that way. So making sure you do your research about where they hang out and where they live. That's what you do first. Then you take everything we're talking about and apply it to that social media website. So that's why I don't have an answer, because I'd have to ask every single one of you, what's your ICP?
It's so true. So if your ICP, like our ICP at Proposify, are sellers, so I want to hang out where sellers hang out. And sometimes they're on LinkedIn, but sometimes there's like this whole dark social thing happening. Like I'm on a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of like WhatsApp chats.
Yeah, yeah.
Meetings, I'm like, and I had to turn off the notifications because it's like bing, 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 bing,
Mm-hmm.
bing. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't keep up with this. But you got to figure out where they are, be there and be
Yep.
active and engage.
Yeah, be there, be active, and engage. And as a salesperson, right, you should really be hanging out in the platform that you find you get the most juice out of. So, for example, if your ICP is on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, great, that's a lot. I understand the problem there, because now you're like, holy crap, I got to be on all four of these. But pick the one that you have discovered they spend the most time and they're in the most headspace likelihood to go from a conversation to a meeting booked. A community marketer will be on all four, and they'll handle all those other dark social touches. And that is why it's so important for social sellers to have a strong rapport with their community marketing team, because it's our job to handle all the other dark touches and dark social touches on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram in the example I'm giving here. So that way, when they see the brand that you're associated with on LinkedIn, a lot of the friction and work has already been done for you. The
Mm,
community marketer is a social seller's SDR. That's how I look at it. We are warming it up for you. We are making it less cold. We're those 16 billboards a person sees on the freeway before the salesperson knocks on their door from the same company, right? So that is exactly why so many companies are hiring community marketers left and right. It's why community marketing is a lot easier to explain to businesses than social selling is. But I think social selling is what helps bridge the gap between community marketing and when you start closing the deals, where the AE starts to kick into the situation here. So that's also why I evolved from a social seller to a community marketer as my day job, because as a social seller, I saw that the only reason I was doing so well was when I had a really good community marketer at the same company. So shout out to Short Soto at Reprise, because without him, my performance of like those 70, 80, 90 meetings per month at Reprise would not have happened solely with Evan. It happened because George was pushing out so much great community oriented strategies that allowed every time I said anything to be like that much easier. It's not a pitch slap when people already kind of see you coming.
Mm.
right? So George made it so they saw me coming. So, and then me, because I'm good at personal branding, they saw me as in Reprise coming, but they also me as in who Evan is coming. So I kind of had like that extra layer. That's what separates me from the average. So, if companies can learn that you need strong social sellers and strong community marketers, that's the golden ticket.
So that is, so you said two things that were awesome. So one was it's multiple buyers. So you're not only talking, you don't think about just the one ICP or the one person. Like, where is everyone hanging out? So that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that you need sellers and marketers to work together. So it's really about social selling, but also that community management part, the community marketing
Mm-hmm.
that really brings it together.
Yep.
And I see that too. So if we're doing a great job on the brand side, on the marketing side, I'm the VP of marketing. And
Yeah.
then our BDRs and SDRs are out trying to book meetings, and we're doing a good job on the marketing and the community aspect. It makes it that much easier for them to make the intro or to make the introductory message or the outreach. So I love that. I love the combo. But I want you to break it down for me. So like, how did you go about booking a lot of meetings? Like, how did you use social selling to your advantage? Can you
Yeah.
walk me through like kind of like step by step, how does that look like, and how did that look like for you?
Yeah, there's a lot of different types of social selling, but the one type of social selling that I really leaned into is this strategy that I did not invent the name of this. It's called postbound. So what that means is finding content on social media that is something that you as an individual personally and professionally feel confident and comfortable in segueing from to what your product or service solves for. So, for example, I'll use Reprise as an example. I feel like a broken record. I use that example every time. But at Reprise, they make demo creation software. So TLDR, we all know demo is a verb. They make demo a noun. Okay? So I would go and look for content by people on LinkedIn that were, for lack of a better word, bitching and complaining about sales demos, basically. I was looking for people that were talking about how it was boring or not effective, or how it wasn't, it was just like becoming so rehearsed that it was becoming mundane, or why are we having a human being do this when people can do it themselves, right? And then we can have the salesperson's just kind of like ready on deck to answer questions, right? Like, why people were just complaining like crazy about this. So I would look for people that were complaining, and then I would go into the comments of those posts and look for people that were agreeing with those complaints or trying to solve those person's problems or whatever it was, because misery loves company. And then I would literally open up every single person in the reaction section and the comment section in a new tab, and then I would look and see who was my ICP or ICP adjacent. To me, that means they either sit at the same desk as the ICP, or they work for the ICP, or they're best friends of the ICP, or if they have a strong following, their following is the ICP. And then I would slide into their DMs going, hey, saw you commented on so-and-so's post about X, Y, and Z. Clearly you think it sucks. I work at Reprise. We're trying to make that suck a lot less. Would you like to learn more? Seriously, 90% yes rate.
That is, so it seems pretty simple.
It's extremely simple. If someone falls down and breaks their leg and you offer to take them to the ER, give them a cast for medicine, who says no? So you just want to go to the bottom of the ski hill where all the people keep falling off the skis and ask and offer them the help. Like, so it's not a pitch slap if you make it make sense. I was complaining about my skin for the longest time because I have rosacea and seborrhea. My friend Marshall works at Murad. He's not going to tell me, like, if he tells me, hey, I think you should try this, it'll help you. That's not a pitch slap. That's someone paying attention. So be the person who's paying attention.
And adding and creating value.
Basically, it's super simple.
Michelle asks, what do you do if you have a small team? So it sounds great, this like social selling and community thing happening. But like, what do you do if you're a team of like one or two, you're working at a smaller
I was
size?
doing this as a team of like one or two. It
Small
was me.
team,
It was me and George. But no, like seriously, I think actually it's more complicated the bigger the team gets. Actually, I think a lot of people like, what do you do if it's a small team? Like, you just need someone who's good at marketing and a good social seller on top of it. And if you find the unicorn, right, you can find somebody who's a social seller who happens to also be good at like marketing, right? Then you're extra in luck. You better get ready to pay them, because that's why I've left certain companies. But no, I think that um you just want to be extra picky the smaller you are about who you're hiring for this, because the ramp time for a not so savvy social seller to become savvy is longer than hiring a brand new green traditional SDR and expecting them to get good at being an SDR, because
Mm,
there's a lot of things that are out of their control that they have to play with a little bit. There's a lot of external factors that a social seller or community marketer needs to learn how to respond to. Whereas a traditional SDR and AE, it's less about external factors and more about internal factors. It's more about their input, less about how they respond to other people's input. So, it's more art than science when you're talking about social selling and community marketing. Um, you have to hire for personality a
mm,
lot. You really have to hire for personality. You have to hire the person who can like go to a party and like go with no one and leave with 15 phone numbers. And I don't mean like in the flirty way necessarily. I mean like and they make friends. I always look for people that like they travel on their own. They have no problem traveling, or like if they've moved on their own to a different state or country. I look for people that are a combination of social, and I don't mean extroverted or introverted, because I know a lot of introverts that are extremely outgoing. They just need to be very outgoing, very social, very talkative, proud to be on that soapbox, combined with incredibly emotionally self-aware, independent, self-motivated, um, obsessively curious. I want someone that's so curious I actually have to reel them back in.
mm.
Those are the kinds of people that I find do really well in these roles. So, while that's important at any scale of a company, it is what's going to make or break this strategy if you're looking for this on your team.
How do you
You
recruit?
can't train that.
Yeah, you can't train, but how do you recruit? So it's good. It's great. And then you probably can understand that once you have somebody in an interview, but like, how do you recruit for somebody like that if you're a small stage company or even mid-size? Because it
Yeah.
sounds like they have to be the life of the party. How do you gauge that?
Poach. Pay extremely well.
Okay.
Network like crazy. Tell all of your friends and family what you're looking for, because I'm sure somebody will know somebody who is a fit, or somebody will know somebody who knows somebody. That's how Reprise got me. Was they put the feelers out there, and while I was prospecting as a SDR at a completely different company to a completely different ICP, the guy goes, "Hey, I know someone who's trying to hire someone like you." As I'm trying to pitch to him, and he's like, and I already disqualified him because he was like, for long reasons, like he just was not ready for our product yet, funding, blah blah blah. But he loved my style, and he's like, I know someone who's looking for someone like you. He's like, are you happy where you work? I'm like, not really. I have to do a lot of lying about my activity metrics, because I know that when I do social selling I perform well, but I'm not doing it the way they want me to do it, even though the output is where it needs to be. So I work in a toxic place, and if you know where I'm talking about, it's been long enough they can't sue me. So therefore, he's like, I can make you an intro, and then like he's told the people at Reprise what I was doing, and I met with Stephanie Sanders, and then I met with Jeff, the recruiter. I forgot his last name. I'm so sorry, Jeff, if you listen to this. And then I met with Joe, and like a week later, I started working there. So,
You're in hot demand, Evan.
well, like this, but like that's how you find people like a good social seller, is networking and kind of put feelers out there.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, that's the best way. You can't just like put up a job posting and cross your fingers. The industry's not there yet. Give it another 4 to 5 years, I think, maybe even earlier. We'll get to that point, because I'm seeing more and more people that like when I'm coaching them, especially like a train, they're like 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're not saying I want to be an SDR. They're saying I want to be a social seller. I want to be a community marketer. I want to be a B2B influencer. And I only see this growing more and more, because the number one job title for Gen Alpha, which is the generation after Gen Z when they're surveyed and what they want to do for a living, is influencer.
Hmm.
And I bet you a good chunk of them are going to be in B2B.
I agree
So
with
this is
that.
coming. This is coming around. I make
It's
more
already here.
money as an influencer than I do as a full-time marketer.
Yeah, yeah, it's here and it's just going to get deeper. Linda
Yeah.
asked, can you share specific LinkedIn strategies? Like, how do you
Yeah.
organize multiple salespeople, social selling? So, can you just share a little bit about LinkedIn specifically, so not any other platform?
Yeah. So for LinkedIn, it's so the world is still working on creating technology to make this easy. So I unfortunately don't have really nice answers for you yet.
Mm,
Keywords yet, right? The strategy is ahead of the technology. There's tools popping up left and right though. So I'm a big so that post bound strategy that I mentioned, the slowest part of it was looking for the content. After a while, that got easy, right? Because the algorithm starts spoon feeding it to you. But then also vetting each of those people, right? That I looked for. So in the perfect world, I would have used a combination of tools that didn't exist at the time, but now they do, which is Trender, where I used to work, and Aware by Revenue Zen. Hit up Alex Boyd for that one. Those are tools that can spoon feed you the content to do that strategy with, while
Mm.
also kind of like vetting for like who's interacting with who and stuff like that. Those are competing tools, mind you, but so pick which one makes the most sense for you. But I'm a firm believer that there's going to be more technology about this going further. So it's kind of like intent data, but for salespeople. There's a lot of intent data tools for marketers, and
Yeah.
they kind of give you like, oh, these types of people look at your content. That's great to people like Nadia and I, but to a social seller, we want to know like who by name, job title, city, company, like specifics. So that's where those tools are going to be helpful. Change your uh how you measure meetings. That's the first thing. Also, you want to measure qualified meetings, but like have a second bucket for like qualified adjacent meetings. I don't care if your AE is booking. If your ICP is CMOs and they booked a meeting with the janitor, they go, "Why the hell did you book a meeting with the janitor?" Because the janitor's married to a CMO. Great,
Oh,
that
that's
counts. I don't care.
fun.
Like, yeah, I don't like. Okay, but the VP of engineering, he goes to this. I know he goes to this nightclub where I know this VP of marketing at a different company hangs out at. Like, I don't. That counts. That fucking counts.
Mm.
So change your definition. Think truly good old fashioned networking. You want to make your A's not about booking meetings, make it making friends at fucking scale.
Yes.
And then also keep in mind like you're not going to be able to track everything. It's
Mm.
social media. So track conversations. You can't track every single DM or every single voice memo. Don't force your sales reps into using sales nav for DMs solely because it syncs to Salesforce. Like trust them to go put a note into Salesforce and go, had a conversation about X, Y, and Z, blah blah blah. Like be okay with cliff notes. Okay, be okay with shorthand of what happened,
I think a
because
lot of AEs are like, I hear like a hell yeah, like from a lot of AEs on that one.
yeah, I've never cared how many times someone tried or how many times someone dialed. That information is useless. I care about, did the prospect say that they like mimosas? Trust me, I have booked meetings solely over the shared bond of mimosas. Like if that works, dude. And also, I hate mimosas. I lied to that prospect. I hate them. I actually like vodka screwdrivers. So like so
Oh, now I know.
yeah. So those are things that focus on. And I saw someone ask for the names of the tools:
Yes.
Trender and Aware. No fancy weird spelling. I know this is a weird industry where everybody likes to change the spelling of things,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Trender, Trender, or Aware, Aware, by Revenue Zen. Just the way it sounds. Both tools incredibly affordable, super easy to set up. I'm a bias towards Trender because I used to work there. But I'm a big fan of trying them out and testing them on your sales team. And if you need coaching or consulting on that, hit me up. I've got some rates. But also, of course, the harsh part of that you should take away from this is like, if you aren't hiring for social selling traits in mind, your team's never going to be great. They'll be good at best. And I know that sounds mean, but it's the truth.
Can you just, sorry, somebody's asking, can you just specify what the two tools are? So you
Yes,
mentioned Trend,
Aware and Trender.
and what do they do? What do those two particular tools do exactly and how do
Yeah,
they?
so Trender is a social media search engine, so it can spoon feed you a feed of content, or interactions of content, and you can also upload lists of people to it, and it can do the same thing in reverse, instead of like putting in like keywords, hashtags, and handles across like Twitter, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. Aware, similar thing, but it's an account based version of that. It's less typing in keywords and more like, let me sync my CRM with this, and it'll tell me like, hey, this influencer posted this and these other people that fit your ICP engaged.
Yeah.
So depending on what your style is, depending on if you need cross-platform support or your ICP, like, hey, we're fine with just LinkedIn, right? Depending on if you need the integrations with X, Y, and Z, go look at their websites. I can't recall all the integrations, but pick the one that makes the most sense for you. They're about the same price point. Um, So yeah, Aware and Trender are two tools that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Um, yeah, and like, listen, I know I work at Outplay, but like having like a LinkedIn touch in your sequence isn't going to cut it anymore. It needs to be a
Mhm.
little more evolved than that. So, and shout out to Outplay too if you're looking for a good sales engagement platform that is social selling friendly.
Awesome. So one of the things that I know, and I've talked to a lot of AEs and even BDRs and SDRs, is like it's just the actual outreach. Like, any tips on like what are they writing? What are they like? What's a good outreach? What's
Yeah,
how do you incorporate social selling? What does that look? What does good social selling actually look like?
like in terms of like the style and the tone of
The
the
style,
messaging.
the tone, like what
Yeah,
how are you saying? Is it just really injecting your own personality? Like, is it because you're the life of the party that you're just booking all these, 80 meetings a month?
I
Or
would say
is
that's actually the majority of it. Is
okay.
that? Yeah, I would say the part that really like pushes it over the hump there is the having the true understanding of the day to day of the ICP.
Mm,
And understanding the emotional reasons why they're buying something. So recently, I was in the comment section of B2B Power Hour of Nicholas Thickett and Morgan Smith. They were doing profile reviews, and there was this guy on there that he made a lot of jokes about being like a dad. He makes dad jokes, blah blah blah. And he helps like physical education teachers in high schools help teenagers with like their self esteem and like career exploration and blah blah blah. And they were commenting about how his headline was kind of bland. It was just like a dad who helps instructors help kids do whatever. And I'm like, how about make it like suburban dad helping teachers make being a teenager suck a little less, right?
obviously,
Like, yeah, using like derailing blunt terminology about the negative emotion that they'll relate to works a lot. A lot of people talk about the solution. They don't talk about the pain. You can't put the cart before the horse.
oh, you know what we should have did for this episode? We should have evaluated a number of different headlines of social
We can do
media.
another episode. You know how to find me.
Well, you're coming back at people. We're gonna review people's headlines, and that's what we're gonna
We could
focus
totally do that.
on.
But yeah, that's the ticket is misery loves company. Talk about why they're in pain. Let them know you get it, right? And then inject your personality into that because then that's the difference of like why they should listen to you and somebody else. Um so a lot of sales reps get stuck into the trap of like talking about the pain and the solution or talking about the solution. I'm like, start with the pain and bond over that. Just
Yeah,
just complain about the pain for a bit.
I love
Take it
buyers.
slow.
As a buyer, I love when people do that. Like, I love when sellers reach me and they understand my like
Yeah,
pain. They've
yeah,
reached out to me on social. They've done like an
hmm
email, and they're just really in sync with what's happening, and
yeah.
they understand what's going on with my business, and that's how you win. Michelle, you asked, curious how much of your week you should spend on social selling versus other sales activities. So, what's a good mix in your opinion?
I think it depends on what your role, how your role is designed. When I was at Reprise, I was a full-time social seller. So whenever I wasn't in a meeting, I was social selling, and honestly, that's a lie. I was social selling while I was in meetings. But but if you are a person who's doing it in addition to your job, like in addition to your traditional sales motions, trim down some of the traditional activity metrics to allow room for this. And I would say like trim it down by 10% so you can make room for 10% social selling. Do that for a week, and then 20, and then just like keep doing it and like in chunks over time because it will have an impact on pipeline. You will see a dip for a quarter. That's the part nobody wants to hear, but it's the truth, especially if we're talking about non-savvy social sellers trying to become savvy. And then I promise you it'll turn around. There's a reason why I've been able to generate over $13 million in pipeline through social selling in less than 5 years. It's because I was willing to let the company lose money for a little bit and go, calm down, it'll work out. Shut up and listen.
Mm,
So, yeah, so that's the trick is like just chip away at it, and then you will find what that right balance is for you and your ICP. Um, yeah, that's kind of the trick. Test it.
Amazing. And we're at time. So, Evan,
Yeah.
one thing that you want our audience to walk away with. What can they do today to start social selling better?
So the best, while you do not need to have a personal brand on social media to be good at social selling, the best social sellers do have a personal brand on social media. And start looking at your career the same exact way that an actor, an actress, or a movie star, or whatever musician looks at their IMDb page or their discography. Every single thing I've done in my career is on brand.
Mm.
Every single thing. So, for example, I worked as an insurance agent. Then I worked at an insurance technology startup selling to controllers and
You're an
accountants and
insurance agent?
CFOs.
You're
Yeah,
an
yeah, and then so I worked at a company that like made getting insurance faster and easier, and I sold to the people that were B2B buyers for that. Then I worked at a company that made marketing technology for insurance agents and realtors who I used to partner with when I was an insurance agent. And then the next company I worked at a company selling software to marketers and salespeople. And then the next company I worked at a company making software to the internal day to day of salespeople. And then the next company was to social sellers. And then so it like you know everything is like 1 foot in, 1 foot out from the last role, right? And combine all that with the fact that when I talked about this, you could tell I genuinely, thoroughly am nerding out about it while I'm talking. So
Yeah.
combine it with the fact that it's a brand expansion with the fact that you thoroughly like the world that you're selling into and live in. And it's not like you have interest in it. Like you if your partners or your friends aren't telling you to shut up about it, you don't love it enough.
Mm.
If you can look at your brand as a person the same way Jennifer Aniston looks at her comedy career, okay, you'll be fine. Because what she does, what comedies, dramedies, sitcoms, and satire. She's
Right.
never gonna do an action movie unless it's an action movie that's a parody of something else, right? She's not
Yeah.
gonna do a horror movie unless it's like Scream or Scary Movie 18, right? Everything's gotta have comedy. It's on brand for her,
Mhm.
right? Same thing for every other musician and artist. Treat yourself the same way.
There you have it. Evan, how can people reach you if they're interested in learning more or if they want to see more of Evan? What can they do?
Yeah, book a meeting with Rocket Science Branding. Have swag that doesn't suck. That's basically what it is. Um, Also, other side of sales. We actually have a show today at 3 p.m. Eastern, live on LinkedIn. And then, of course, you can follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. If you're in Chicago, hit me up. I can grab some drinks in North Halstead, Boys Town area. And if you find me at my house, I will sue you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So thanks again, Evan. There you have it. Thanks for being on the show. So next week we're going to be join us next week. We're gonna have a mystery guest actually. So stay tuned for that. Who that is. We're also going to have an epic holiday show on December 7th, not to miss. We're going to have Amy Volas, Tyler Lussard, Jesse Gittler, and James Buckley. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, to all those who are celebrating this weekend. And thank you even that much more for joining us today because it is Thanksgiving weekend and some of you are off. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Evan. We'll see you next time.